What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about The Fantastic Four: First Steps. Yes, I saw it. Sort of. Well, I'm blind, so I I saw it in the way, like I went to the theater and was there, present at the theater. They didn't have the audio description because it broke it. But anyway, that's another story for another day. Uh, Click like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we're going to talk about this film. I'm developing a cult following here on YouTube, so join it. We're going to get some tinfoil hats or something, I don't know. And other critics go into things blind. I literally go into things blind, quite literally. So my favorite thing always is like the new way that we do seats now, and they're like, "Do you want to sit in C3?" And I'm like, "I don't know what the fuck that is. Can you just give me the one so that like when I come in the aisle, I don't have to like count seats, like the closest one? Is there one there that I could just hop into?" Like, anyway. So Fantastic Four: First Steps it exists now. It's out there. It's in the world, whether you want it to be or not. Fanboys and trolls and everything have been viscerally reacting to this for quite some time. I still keep getting these weird sort of like anti Pedro Pascal videos that keep trending because I like other movie critics, so I must like the trolls too that are talking about movies. Does that make sense? Uh, so depending on your YouTube feed or social media feed, either Pedro Pascal or Julia Garner is responsible for the collapse of society. One of those two things happened to you this summer. Nevertheless, they persisted, and this movie opened to over $100 million at the box office. So, good job, trolls. All you did was bring more attention to the movie. It's the biggest opening for a Fantastic Four movie ever. So congratulations on that. It's the highest grossing film. But is it good? I'm going to thread that needle as best I can, considering I was denied my accessibility. Not rudely, they just have broke-ass equipment, but it's brand new, which makes it hilarious. They switched over to little touchscreen things that didn't work. And they tried. They were there for like 30 minutes. Like, they kept trying different devices, and they're like, someone's in the booth, and they're restarting the system. And I'm like, well, the movie's still going. So, and I was with God, how many commercials and trailers do we have? So, I was late, and they still hadn't even started previews yet. It was still like commercials. What is the start? Why do we have start times of movies? it's like it's a suggestion nowadays. When does your movie start? I don't know. It says 9:30, probably about, I don't know, 10:05, 10:10, somewhere around there. So this is like an alternate reality that we're in. It's not the standard Marvel timeline, in case you're just like, how did this happen? Where are we? The director of WandaVision was brought in here to do sort of that retro fantastic sheen that the movie has. And I think I have to say that's the strongest element of the film, is the film has a very distinct identity for what it is. And it's supported by a fucking brilliant score by Michael Giacchino. I mean, this man is really underappreciated. A couple of years ago, he had my favorite score for doing the Batman. I think this is my favorite score of the year. Hot take, I know, Sinners, right? But I was just like, man, this score is great. And I didn't know he did it either. And I looked it up and I was like, I think I love Michael Giacchino. I think that's just a thing that I you just start loving certain directors and certain composers, I guess, too. And I noticed that a lot of times whenever his name is listed as being composer of, I'm like, oh, really enjoyed your work, sir. Thank you for that. That was, yeah, there's a playfulness in the score here. It sounds retro at times. It's got the bombastic tone that it needs for the big action sequences. There's some more like lighter, like heartfelt scenes that he has to pull back for. He really has he runs the gamut here, and he gives Fantastic Four First Steps its own identity. And, coming from a blind perspective, I can't sit here and be like, well, the baby looks ugly and the visual effects sucked, because I can't see the baby. I mean, the person I was with was also like, yeah, that baby doesn't look real. So apparently the baby is just not good. Although they did say also that there are some scenes where it does look like an actual baby, but most of the time it doesn't. Like every once in a while they used an actual baby. But most of the time, no. So, I don't know, man. Is this like is this like Babygate from American Sniper? The fake ass baby that was, that movie got a Best Picture nomination with Babygate, so didn't stop that either. We don't really care what babies look like in movies, so this movie's going to continue on its success, even with a weird baby, just like American Sniper did. So, what is it? What is this film? It's a reset, but it's also bringing these characters into the MCU, because obviously Fantastic didn't work, and that was the closest thing in proximity to the MCU. Had they worked, they might have had to fit those guys in at some point, kind of slide them into the MCU if they had turned out to be really popular, because they dropped at like 2015, which was, I mean, we already had the MCU going. It was close to when Disney was going to buy Fox anyway and put out films, so I could see them, working Fantastic in had that film actually been good and successful. It was neither of those things. So now we're rebooted with Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, Ebon Moss Bacharach as Ben Grimm, the Thing. We have Julia Garner as Silver Surfer, and she's not the same Silver Surfer Lawrence Fishburne was. She has like a different name. I don't Mara, or I don't know, it's Anra, or they have, I don't know what their alien name is. We're just gonna go with Silver Surfer here. It's just a lot easier. We have Galactus, who actually has screen time, unlike Rise of the Silver Surfer, where it feels like they ran out of money and they're like, we can't afford to do the visual effects here for very long, so you can't be in this movie. Sorry, bye. Galactus actually feels like this big presence that they actually have to defeat instead of this thing that just happens briefly at the end of the movie. So, it actually is played by somebody too. So, Richard, I something. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know who he is. It doesn't really matter. He's a voice. His voice was very creepy, and he did a good job of playing Galactus. In supporting roles, we have like Natasha Lyonne. I'm not really sure why. We did not. We'll talk about that. I need to hit that. And Paul Walter Hauser is Mole Man, who I could have used more of. He was one of the film's like lighter characters, but he's barely in the film. A lot of people are barely in this film. This film is, oh God, we'll get there. Sarah Niles is in this. So I think that's anybody that you might know and or recognize. They also use Franklin Richards as the baby, obviously, and they have Herbie is in this. And Herbie's going to win merchandising season if we're allowed to buy anything. I know our economy seems to be in a place where we're like, I don't know if I'm going to buy my kids anything, but if I am, I'm sure it's going to be Herbie related, because I feel like with the money that this movie is making, it's going to be Herbie or that damn dinosaur from Jurassic World. I think Herbie's going to win. Herbie's going to get his own, like, I can see it happening already. They're going to be like these Herbie shorts on Disney Plus. Like there were the Groot, the baby Groot shorts or doing that. I feel that's absolutely happening. Herbie's gonna have his own little thing happening. It's like the best part of the movie. Anyway, uh, so basically Fantastic Four has eradicated the planet of war and crime. And they're like, they've unified everybody and everybody loves them. And then this global, threat comes in. Silver Surfer doesn't waste time and immediately just reveals herself as to be the Herald. So they don't have to like chase her around. She's not silent, but deadly, She just, I am the Herald of Galactus. Your planet will die. Be with yours. So this film also actually finally answers at least a little bit as to why they need a Silver Surfer. The other film just doesn't really do that. This film directly says that she's the one who chooses the planets for him. She was some sort of like a scientist on her planet. And part of the deal, instead of the other film, Rise of the Silver Surfer, where he just, I don't know, agrees for some reason but what is his usefulness? No idea. Why does Galactus need this dude? So she's the one who picks the planets that he needs for like his cosmic, to feed his hunger, whatever. So yeah, Galactus is in this like giant spaceship and they have to separate him from it. And even when they separate him from it, he's still pretty big. He's not like a little dude or anything like that. He's not like a regular sized guy. He's still pretty big when he comes out of the thing. So yeah, it feels like an existential threat. It feels like they have to go face Galactus. And they go up into space to try to beat Galactus or negotiate with him or whatever. And when they do, they notice, he notices that Sue's pregnant and he wants the baby. He wants Franklin, because only Franklin can suffice, his hunger. But also it's suggested that if Galactus consumes Franklin, that Franklin will then become him, that there's something like Franklin will be the new him, or Franklin is so cosmically powerful that he's destined for otherworldly things anyway. So the film keeps it sort of loose because they want sequels and they want you to be able to love this baby. And where does Franklin go from here? Then obviously that's a no-go on letting you eat our baby. So, and they go back home. They tell the world that they could have given up the baby for everybody, and everybody just gets really upset about that. They're like, wait a minute, so we all have to die because you won't give up your baby? So it's like Squid Game season 3 again, where everybody's just like, the baby's the focus, and it's like, should we kill the baby? I don't know. Weird musings on life. And they have to figure out a way how to stop Galactus without giving up Franklin, but Reed is kind of tapped out, his brain. Eventually he figures out a way. I don't want to spoil the whole thing. I've gotten you up to a certain point, but yeah, that's sort of, it's a general plot of the movie. This is not like how does it end? Give me every single moment. I gave you like the general plot so you know what the film is about. Will they work with Silver Surfer? Will they not work with Silver Surfer? All those kind of things. So, what works, what doesn't work? This is a mixed bag, because there's some things that work, and every single actor is really good at, like, I liked things that they were doing, but I also didn't like things that every single one of them were doing that was thrust upon them for their character. Pedro is basically being Pedro. Like, if you like Pedro Pascal as Pedro Pascal, he's basically he brought Joel to the Fantastic Four. This is the most Pedro Pascal performance ever. He's believable enough as being the smartest guy in the room. It's not necessarily, he's not like Jim Parsons on Big Bang Theory level of like intelligence, but he handles the stuff pretty well. He feels like he's an okay scientist, but he doesn't also feel like he was the best choice for that role. He feels like he's just like comfortable enough in the role. He has pretty good chemistry with Vanessa. The film doesn't really require that a whole lot, because they're already together. They've already produced a baby. We're jumping into this stage of their marriage. We do get this at the beginning of the film. One of the stronger things is that instead of seeing the origin story, which doesn't make any sense because Doom is not in it, uh, we get sort of this like retrospective thing about the Fantastic Four that's told from the point of like newscasters, about, you know, it's been since Fantastic Four saved the world, and since then they've defeated this, this, and this, and you see some villains that they fought, and some battles that they've won, and how they made Earth safe, and how they signed a peace treaty with Mole Man, and how he gets to rule Subterranea and not ruin anything above the ground, and all those kind of things. Pedro lacks the kind of like conviction and strong leadership, though. He's not bold enough to be the de facto leader of the team. Everybody here is just kind of chilling, except Vanessa Kirby is trying to win an Oscar. She's like giving so much in this. She is in a different movie. She thinks it's almost like she took this one as a challenge. She was like, wait a minute, Angela Bassett got nominated. I can be nominated. I'm going to be nominated. We're going to do this. So it's like she got nominated one time for Pieces of a Woman, and now she's like, well, I'm going to be nominated for Fantastic Four at the end of this year. You watch. By God. I'm going to be Mother of the Year. So she's giving so much as Sue Storm. It's like on a different level. She's out acting everybody around her, and all of her scenes are... She's saddled immediately. She never gets to be fun Sue Storm. She never has any fun moments. She doesn't even get romantic moments really with Reed. She's never really light, because basically from the beginning of the movie, like the first time we really get a scene with them, it's like Reed and Sue are like worried about like, oh, maybe we're not meant to be parents. And then they find out later on that they are pregnant. And then it's like her being pregnant or her being a mother. It's like the whole movie. She's always trying to protect Franklin, always trying to defend her baby. So she is a mother the whole movie. She never gets to sort of be just random, carefree, kick-ass fighting Sue Storm. There are pros and cons to that too. I was thinking about this. I wish we had gotten a little bit more of that from her, just so that we got a different flavor of Sue Storm instead of this one flavor that we get. But at the same time, to go ahead and introduce Franklin instead of waiting for a sequel, and go ahead and pulling in Silver Surfer and stuff like that, when Kevin Feige is running around going like, we're going to be doing a reboot soon. We're going to hit the reset button. See, the problem with hitting the reset button is that we're also just now getting to the place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe where we're starting to get characters like Franklin Richards, because we have to establish the characters that came before them first, otherwise nobody would care. So for people who are excited to see characters like Franklin Richards or Wiccan, or Miles Morales, which he, for some reason, says is not coming to the live-action Marvel Cinematic Universe, despite the fact that Miles has proven more than able to anchor 2 Spider-Verse movies so far. So I think people would be pretty up to having Peter pass the torch to Miles Morales. Some of these newer characters, I think people have some sort of like weird reaction to Ironheart, but some of these people have kids. Think about like the X-Men universe. Cyclops and Jean have kids. We never get around to that. They never get old enough to be able to have kids and to go through like the second Phoenix. We're never able to have a long-running enough X-Men where we do the Phoenix Saga for Jean and then we do the Phoenix Saga again for the daughter. Like, we never do that. It just never happens again. So, it would be nice, and obviously there are some other people who are like original X-Men and they end up having kids who ended up being X-Men. But if we keep hitting the reset button, we'll never get there. So it takes us forever. We get to X-23, but X-23 only gets to do one movie, and then sort of in Deadpool and Wolverine. So yeah, we got Franklin, but it's sort of at a cost of Sue Storm, because she has to start out kind of a mother, because we only have just so much time in this movie. Joseph Quinn, they've toned down Johnny Storm a lot. He's not the cocky, brash character that Chris Evans played. He's a little bit closer to how Michael B. Jordan played it, and the dark Fan Four Stick. Um, but they've decided to make him more intelligent and capable. So he's less like into ladies and into merch, and I don't know, being a rowdy, like, stunt type person. Um, so I kind of prefer Chris Evans's take just in general, because what this movie needed was a Chris Evans. This movie has like four characters that are all sort of kind of very serious and very morose. And that's what didn't work about Fan Four Stick, was that it was so dark. It was just like, I don't know if this works. So Herbie ends up being the closest thing that they have to comic relief, but Joseph Quinn, who played Eddie Munson, has the range to do it, but instead of being able to do anything remotely Johnny Stormish, they give him kind of a cool purpose in life, which is he notices that Silver Surfer says something in her original language. So he spends the whole movie trying to decode it based on like these weird transmissions and stuff that they've picked up over the years. And he asks her in the next time they meet, that thing that you said to me, what did it mean? And from there he builds a language. So he's able to communicate with her in her own language, which is kind of cool. So that's what he does instead of getting girls or driving fast cars or doing crazy stunts and, being the Joker of the group. I kind of wanted the Joker of the group, though. I kind of wanted both. I don't know why he can't balance both. And then, but yeah, I mean, like some of that is good. He's far more intelligent here than he's ever been before. So there's that too. He feels more like he could actually be a scientist. There's something that Reed says where he's like, I picked the smartest people that all happen to be in my family and my best friend. He actually feels like, Johnny Storm actually feels like he is intelligent here. Not that he's picked because he's, I don't know, a good pilot or something. So then we have Ben, Ebon Moss Bacharach, who is just doing Richie from The Bear. It's basically what he's doing here. They decided we don't get to see his transformation. Not really. I mean, it's in like the beginning, sort of like, but he's basically just the Thing for the whole movie. And as such, he just uses his own voice. They don't modify it. So it's not the, that's kind of what I liked about Michael Chiklis, was that we saw both sides of what he did in the first one, and we got to see the human side of him and see how he was as Ben Grimm, and then the transformation into Ben Grimm. So it had a more emotional weight to this. We don't really get to see the human side of him. We just see the post-transformation side, and his voice is the same. And for him, he has some nice moments, though. I mean, he's a good actor, so it allows him to emote more. But also he's saddled with Rachel, who's Natasha Lyonne's character, who's like the most underdeveloped character of 2025. Like, he just kind of like shows up and there's like this Rachel, and they have like a conversation. And then later on, he's gonna like touch base with her again. And like, I don't know what the status of their relationship is. I don't know. It's so random. Natasha Lyonne's presence in this film it feels like scenes were cut. Like, she feels like she was cut for time, but they didn't fully cut her. And I think I would have. The way that what they've left here of Natasha Lyonne is not substantial enough to warrant like leaving her in the movie. It's almost like they're so afraid of that Ana de Armas shit, where she got excised from yesterday, that they're like, oh, did we put her in a trailer? Oh god, we did. So we can't remove her from the film because people will sue us because they came here to see Natasha Lyonne, apparently. So, yeah, because everybody went to see Yesterday because of Ana de Armas. I don't know. It just doesn't work. The film has such great pacing. It's so fast that it almost ends up being too fast, and it ends up not actually resolving all of its storylines. So this is one of them. Like, why is Rachel here? What is she doing? What does she mean to Ben? She doesn't even get that many lines of dialogue. She's just, hi, I'm here. Is it for the sequel? Do we have plans? What are those plans? What do they look like? There's also this sort of like really underdeveloped assistant that they have that's running around. It's played by Sarah Niles. She doesn't really have a whole lot to do, and she's also just kind of, you just kind of have to pick up what the film's putting down in terms of her as well, because it's more just like screen time and less about like dialogue and her saying too many things. On the plus side, I love Julia Garner as Silver Surfer. Not just to piss other people off, but because she is actually a good Silver Surfer. She comes in and she feels immediately ominous. She's not trying to like fly around and be the strong, silent type. No, she comes in, she's got this big sort of like resonant voice, and it feels like doom is coming, you know, like we're bringing some death with us and some destruction, and she keeps it very sort of neutral, very Silver Surfer-ish, and then flies away and comes back in as the film needs her. And then also Galactus is actually fucking in the movie. Like, it's not this afterthought, and he doesn't have to share the movie with Doom, which is like the smartest decision we've ever made. One of the worst parts about Rise of the Silver Surfer is that even though it should be about Silver Surfer and Galactus, there's still Doom. They still bring back Doom. So you have to deal with Doom, and then Doom takes up far more screen time than he needs to, which, you know, that plus, I'm sure, a non-existent budget is why Galactus is in that movie for like 5 seconds. So, here Galactus is a presence. He actually feels threatening. He actually feels like he's dangerous. So even though we're moving at lickety-split pace, this movie is under 2 hours. And if you don't sit through credits, I mean, you can get out of here in probably about an hour 45. So there's only a mid-credits sequence. There's sort of there's a little thing at the end, but it's not relevant to anything. If you're looking for the relevant scene, there is a mid-credit and end-credit sequence. The mid-credit sequence is Doom. I'm just going to say it. And it's not a huge thing. You can find out how they use him. It's not Downey Jr. though. But yeah, it's the Doom is coming type of thing. And then the last thing is just sort of like a little cartoonish Fantastic Four bit, like from an old animated Fantastic Four series. So, yeah, there's a give and take here. It's like the director of WandaVision knew how to do the retro thing, but casting is imperative here. And I don't know this film feels like it's trying so hard to not piss anybody off that it just wants to be liked, but it never wants to be loved. It doesn't want to be hated. It doesn't want to be loved. It just wants to be liked. It just wants to come through and just be like, hi, I'm here. Did you like me? I did like you. I just didn't love you. You know, this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean, my score is fresh on the tomato meter. It is, but it's not something that I'm super excited for. It's not something that I want to run out and see again. It has elements that I love, but they're not enough to propel the film forward to where, you know, if I did my MCU rankings, that this would be at like anywhere near the top. It also isn't at the bottom though. There are also MCU films I really don't like that I would not give a fresh rating to, even though I'm a nerd. That's my bias, is that I love Marvel. I love these kinds of things. I'm a fan, service me, that kind of thing. I appreciate that. But with this, it just, I don't know. It's not quite, it doesn't quite all work. Some of the choices that they make, they kind of needed somebody to be personality-wise a little bit different than the group, and it could have been Ebon, could have been Joseph, but they're both sort of dialed down so where they don't have to really worry about. Ebon ends up being kind of a sweetheart. I mean, he's got this scene with little kids that is kind of cute. He has a scene with the baby that's kind of cute. I mean, he's, you know, the warm and fuzzy type. They keep making a running joke about that it's clobbering time. He's like, well, I never say that. That's only in the cartoon. And Joseph Quinn, I mean, he's great at the other stuff. They made him smarter, but he's also now, he doesn't feel like the need to wisecrack all the time. And I miss that. I miss the Chris Evans Human Torch. I know that's weird. I know some people just don't like that version at all, but there was something to it. There was something very sort of like cartoonish and comic bookish about that film too. And while this film is sort of presenting that in its own sheen and its own like retro Jetsons vibe, it it doesn't quite have the energy. What it is it's like getting a present for Christmas, and it's this like beautifully wrapped Christmas box. Like the paper is amazing. The bow is not store bought. It's like somebody actually like took something and made a bow. You know how you can take that stuff and actually figure out how to like twist it and turn it around and make your own bow. It's like, and the paper is so lovely that you don't want to tear into it, but then it's like you have to because you got to know what's in there, and you feel bad for tearing into it, and then you get in there, and then the present is just like, okay, I needed a coffee mug, you know, like, I mean, but then you end up remembering the packaging. That's what this is. This film has everything that this director was hired to do, which was to come in here and give this film its own look, its own feel, its own vibe. It's got that. It's got a great score that supports it, Michael Giacchino. So they give it a great identity. But what's beneath the identity? The screenplay has a couple of beats. It correctly has the appropriate amount of screen time for Galactus and Silver Surfer. They don't have to share their screen time. There's some stuff here for Franklin. So why doesn't it work? Why isn't it the best Marvel movie in years? And I think it's just because in this sort of pop-ish, vibe-ish thing that they've got going on here, where it feels, I was reminded a lot of The Incredibles, but The Incredibles is stylish and those characters are stylish too. It needed a retro feel in the cast. It needed that sort of like Adam West Batman series take to it. And that's because if you think about like what made WandaVision work, that's what Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany played into, was it played into the fact that they were doing this retro thing. I don't think this cast does that at all. Part of it is that it's futuristic and retro at the same time. So they're like in the 40s, but they also have all of this advanced technology. So they have like these like old school designs and everything, but also space. So it's this unique timeline. It needed to feel something. It needed to feel a little funnier, a little bit more Leave It to Beaver or something like that. Instead, it just feels like four people who are, for some reason, taking their cues from the sort of morose cast of Fantastic. They're a lot closer to that cast than the other cast, but I think the way that this film is shot, the way that the tone is, would have much supported the tone of the first film that Tim Story has, where they're a little bit lighter, a little bit funnier, you know, and give that. And these actors are capable of doing that. We've seen Pedro's done comedy before. He could have done a little bit more here. You know, Joseph Quinn as Eddie Munson obviously has the ability to be funny. And then Ebon Moss Bacharach is on The Bear, which is, I mean, he's won an Emmy for supporting an actor in a comedy series. So if he can be funny, then why did we give him an Emmy? I mean, there has to be something here. The most entertaining thing cannot be Herbie. And I feel like it is. And then everything else is just the story and this plot and watching it unfold. So I like Fantastic Four First Steps, which is all it seems to be wanting me to do, is like it. Not love it, not hate it, just like it. So I'm going to give the Fantastic Four First Steps a 6.9 out of 10. Fresh. But in terms of the Fantastic Four movies, it's number 2 for me. I actually like the 2005 one the best. And having just rewatched all of them leading up to this, I can say that with certainty because it's just been, it was like a few days ago that I watched the other one. So it's like within the last week, I've seen every single Fantastic Four movie. And knowing that, oddly enough, I prefer the 2005 version. Um, it's not great and it's not perfect either, but there's something about sucking all of the life and entertainment out. They need to find a way to balance. What Fantastic Four First Steps needed to do was figure out how to balance the first time they did it with the second time they did it to create this blended version that was like a feature-length version of WandaVision, but with the Fantastic Four. They didn't really do that. They tried. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the other side.